Welcome to Wednesday Wellness. Be well, get well, and stay well. Have you ever wondered why isolation creates heart and brain challenges? Tonight, Dr. Brimhall explains why and what we can do about it. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome, everybody. December 23rd, 2020. We're like a little more than a week till 2021, right? And I'm excited. Love this time of year. It's a great time of year. So thank you for being here tonight. Experience. We know that it's a busy time of year, and we're going to record this for those of you that couldn't make it here tonight. You'll have it. So give me 1 second. We're good. All right. So I'm Dr. Brett Brimhall. I'm a chiropractor here in the Phoenix area. And for my whole practice life, which has been 20 plus years almost now, we did what we called monthly classes where we talked about health topics were important because we learned really early on. My dad literally was treating this lady that came in, and she was brought in a wheelchair, and she was in an auto accident. Right after the accident, she could do things like she helped she helped people get out of the other cars, but then from the injury, she ended up in a wheelchair, lost her ability to have bowel movements and everything else. So they're from the reservation, and so he lived in northern Arizona, a town called Holbrook. Someone brought her in a wheelchair, and she was just lumped over in a wheelchair. He did what he knew how to do at that time, being a chiropractor. He held her up in front of an X-ray machine, took X-rays, and went to work. Well, the next time she comes in, and she's literally still sitting in a wheelchair, but sitting straight up and talking 100 miles an hour Navajo. If you ever heard Navajo, it's super cool, but it's really hard to understand. Well, 3 or 4 visits in, she was out of a wheelchair. She was functioning well. And this time her husband comes in. And her husband, my dad's like, man, he's like 26 years old at the time. He's like, man, I am like all that in a bag of chips. Like, this guy's coming in. He's going to say, thanks. It's amazing. And they sit down. He says, and the guy says, Ida, she says she still gets headaches sometimes right here. And sometimes she gets sleepy at night, sleepy, and she can't go out and tend the sheep. And my dad's like, yeah, but she was in a wheelchair. Like, she couldn't even function. And my dad at 26 was almost angry. And all of a sudden it dawned on him is that they didn't have any understanding of how to get healthy and what health was. And that began our journey put back in 1970s about educating people to try to give them tools and powers and education, how to get well, stay well, and be well. So that's what this is part of. So you're part of a group that our goal and our design and our desire to help people get well, stay well, and be well, invite other people to do the same. So we know it's a busy time of year. This month, we focused a lot on brain health specifically and dementia. I'm going to talk a little bit in a different fashion today, right now, because of the time of year it is, and because of something that happened to me yesterday. I'm going to kind of share my screen in a second. So I want to show you a couple of things that I think are super, super important to us right now. So let me show you this, and I'll fill you in on this story. Hopefully it all goes as planned. All right, can you guys see this? It says the neuroendocrinology of social isolation. All that means is that there's things that happen to your brain and your hormones when you're isolated. All right. So yesterday, I was texting about this to other people, and I started a conversation with somebody that I've known for years. He's also a chiropractor. And though you saw my Facebook post, I apologize to share this story again. But his daughter, who was 18, committed suicide only 10 days ago. It took me way, way back. Never any idea or no history of this. Never had any tendencies like that. It rocks his world, obviously. What I want to talk to you about a little bit, this is what's going on right now in the world when it comes to how social isolation is affecting your brain and how it's affecting you right now, and the way it's currently being looked at and what we might want to consider doing differently. And I'm gonna give you some things you can actually do. So, because whether it's, that's obviously super crazy extreme. And what happened is I couldn't go to sleep last night. So I literally wrote about this experience and my experience of my own sister passed away from an eating disorder when I was 18. And that people showed up for me, right? They didn't know what to say. They didn't know what to do, but they just showed up, right? They just showed up, and we worked through it together, right? We worked through it together. And it was really just a reminder back of how many people's life, I can't tell you how many texts I've got just off Facebook about people and how this is a real thing for them, right? So I want to give you some tools and strategies right now, but no, this is a really big deal, that our mental health is critical, and it's critical that we do things different today and long-term. All right. And because we are at the holidays and you guys are all going to have probably a day off in the next couple of days, where perhaps you could be the catalyst for creating a greater experience in somebody's life. As simple as a phone call, as simple as a text, as simple as a card, as simple as a hello, right? And how that affects brain. Because what they know, looking at this, I want to just kind of highlight something here. Let me show you here. They're talking about this right here, this sentence here. Social isolation and health behavior, human and animal investigations of the neuroendocrine stress mechanisms that may be involved suggest that chronic isolation, and guys, chronic is anything longer than a week. Just so you know, that's chronic. Like chronic is not like a year. It's anything longer than like a week. Like chronic is like, doesn't take long. Increases the activation of the hypothalamic, pituitary, adrenal cortical axis. These effects are more dependent on the disruption of social bond between a significant pair than objective isolation. So here's the bottom line is, when it affects your adrenals and your pituitary and the rest of your energy system, that means your hormones, that means your sleep cycle, that means your connectivity to the world, right? Social isolation. I'm going to show you one other one. I thought this was kind of cool. Loneliness, social isolation, and cardiovascular health. So bottom line on this, the more people were socially isolated led to heart disease. That's the short answer, more plaquing in the arteries. All right. So when I was going through this conversation with this individual yesterday, he asked me, is there anything that I can do? So like, what do you do? Like, what can you do? Well, you can do what you can do. So based upon your experience, what I could do is I could go to him, even though I wasn't seeing patients that day. I was doing Life Vantage stuff. I went over, I said hello, I gave him a hug and said, we love you. I'm here for you. I don't fully understand what you're going through, but I want you to know I'm here for you. And here's a couple of things that I would use when I get high stress. So I actually loaned him one of my devices, a brain device I use to help people sleep and relax. And I gave him some drink mixes that I use to help the brain focus and relax. Because that's what I could do. All right. To help him go through this process of getting better. Okay. So this is a little different conversation, but tomorrow is New Year's Eve, or not New Year's, Christmas Eve. And the next day is Christmas. So many of us are going to be with family, but also many people are not going to be with family the way that you would normally be. It doesn't mean we can't connect with them. Okay, so my mom passed away in 2008. So I'm not with her, but she is with me anytime I allow it. All right. So the memories we've had, the memories we can create, doesn't mean you have to be next to somebody. Yeah, I like hugs, I'm all good for that, but we can choose to go out and connect. And any little connection can make a drastic difference on brain function. Drastic difference. So I want to give you some things that you can actually do that will matter. Okay. So I'm going to see if this shows up. Let me know if this happens. Can you see a screen that's like a Word document? Can you guys see that?
No, we don't.
Okay, let me unshare my screen and I'll reshare it. Okay. I didn't know if it would work or not. And here it is. Oh, that's not it. That's not what I wanted. All right. So if you're struggling, you guys see that? It's a Word document? Yes?
Yes.
Cool. Thanks. All right. So you can take a screenshot if you want of this, anything else like that. But here's some things that you can do and there's some questions you can ask yourself going forward. Okay. So number one, are you getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep at night? All right. If you're not, your brain is going to struggle. So that means if you're not able to sleep, then we may need to work on some strategies to help you sleep. One thing I like to teach people is learn to journal. If your mind's going cray or cuckoo, learn to journal what's in your head and put it down on paper, and then set it on your Bible or set it on whatever that is your belief system to say, God, you got this. I'm going to bed. Okay. Are you feeding yourself consistently each day at a consistent time with foods that are real, foods that in a box, bag, or can have preservatives to keep things from spoiling? We don't want to be preserved or put on a shelf. All right. So eating real live food. Are you moving your body 20 to 30 minutes each day? Are you eating more food than your body can burn? Okay, so and then number 5, what messages are foods that I'm eating communicating to the rest of my body? Build muscle, store fat, burn fat. So everything that goes into your mind, like what you plug into, and whatever you eat in your body literally sends messages to the rest of your cells to do something. So if you're constantly feeding it, saying, look, I don't need any more things to like create energy, like I'm going to store that as fat. All right. And if you're eating food because it makes you feel better mentally, and that's your one coping strategy, what are you going to do when you aren't feeling good? You're going to eat more of it. Okay. So just so you know, next week, I'm going to give you guys, if you want, this is my idea, a good time. Somebody shared this with me this week as I was having a conversation about their son, and she was telling me about a little bit of life history. And she said, do you know what the first Monday in January is known as? Anybody have any idea? I'm just curious. Anybody know what the first Monday in January is known as? Anybody know?
When people quit their
Suicide Monday?
What's that?
Is it the number one day for suicide?
No, but it's surprising me. It's called Divorce Monday.
Oh, divorce.
Divorce Monday, because we get through the holidays and then like, I'm just done. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys some tools next week, and I want you to start thinking now, what do you want next year to start looking like? Right. And then I'm putting a plan of action for myself together, but I'll give you some ideas of what you can do. This picture I'm showing you right here is some of those things that you can start looking at to make that plan. Okay. And each of you help me do that, because when I show up here each week, I'm more committed to being better the next week. So thank you. Part of being successful is having someone to be accountable to. Here's a couple other things I want you guys to have though. Okay. A couple other things. When was the last time you had labs done? Like looking at optimal levels, like vitamin B, D, B12, folate, vitamin A and K. All of these guys have a specific effect upon brain. Okay. The last time we went to the dentist, who is part of your health strategy? Dentist, my world, chiropractor, a counselor. Guess what, guys? I have seen all those for my mental health. My physical health and my mental health are important. So I have professionals help me. Do you have stress management skills? If you don't, I'm going to give you some. Do you have healthy relationships? How is your self-talk? How do I use to manage my stress? That's good, great English. I'm bad. Okay. Or what do I use? Food, alcohol, drugs, smoking, work, exercise, gaming. All right. Are the people, career, media, and other social influences building me up or tearing me down? All right. So you don't have to answer these to me, and I don't want you to actually, but I want to set a perspective shift in that if you've struggled or you are struggling, ready? You're not that special. You're a human. We're designed to struggle. We're designed to overcome. We're designed to have setbacks. That's what makes us grow. It's not, we don't appreciate what we're given, we appreciate what we accomplish. Right? So it's time to shift that in our world. And so what I wanted you to guys is for tonight is like, understand, like the one thing, if I had to do one thing tonight, I know this is maybe not a wellness topic, but it is, please reach out to the people you think about today and tomorrow in the next few days. Just tell them you love them. Just tell them, that they matter, because you just don't know. You just don't know what's going on in the world. And you just don't know. But that matters when it comes to their cardiovascular health. That matters when it comes to their brain health. That matters when it comes to them being able to function and perform optimally. It matters. All right. And this was not what I was planning on talking about tonight, but after that happened yesterday, I just had to share it. I want to read one thing that actually a cousin of my wife posted, and he was talking about something I really found as powerful to me. He's an officer in the military, and he's read my post and he sent it to me. I thought it was powerful. And he's talking about when somebody had a trauma difficulty, he says, I argue that the plan of action, post-strategy, and the amount of effort allocated towards its success is most important. It is the most important because in their decision, their plan, they now made hopefully a productive plan to follow. I would argue that individuals are ending their lives at a higher rate now more than ever because individuals are not being taught, coached to choose to overcome, to win at life, to manage their expectations, to look at life from a greater perspective. They are not taught that a failed attempt is not a failed life. Loss of a job, a friend, a loved one is not the loss of their hopes and dreams. There is beauty in loss. The relationship developed up to that point was beautiful enough to incite pain at its loss. It is viewed as insensitive or neglecting to suggest to individuals to pick yourself up by your bootstraps. It is detrimental for a comforting friend to suggest otherwise and not expect everyone to choose to overcome. Timelines will vary for each individual and by circumstance between grief and action. But without action, there's no satisfaction of overcome or sense of accomplishment. I'm not sure where that hit you, but where it hit me is where my core value is that crap happens to all of us. How do we overcome? Like, how do we work together to go on to the next? Because we're not that special in the sense of everybody goes through trauma in this life. It's going to happen. But now what? Now what? You are where you are based upon the choices you made. And sometimes things are outside your control. I totally get that. But now what's the plan? What's the plan of action for you? And how do you set yourself up for success? So next week's on Wellness Wednesday is going to be a little different in that is really the key. What is your personal plan of attack for 2021? When I started 2020, I was really excited because it was this whole idea of like perfect vision. And I'm like, man, that really got freaking slammed. But did it? Because of the difficult year that it has been, and challenges that have been there, I think it's given me personally a better perspective of what ideal perfect vision or life should be. Because it makes me think very differently than I did before. Right? And so, a little different topic tonight, but like, please, add a favor to me and to your friends and to your loved ones, like the people that you thought about tonight, we were talking, or you think about the next couple of days, short text. Hey, just thinking about you. Love you. Hope you're okay. Whatever it might be, whoever pops in your, that funny emoji, right? Whatever. But you don't know what that might do. Like, I had no idea some of the texts that I got and that how people have lost loved ones. Right. And people are thinking, hey, what will 2021 look like? How do I set myself up for success? That's going to be all next week. I'm going to, you can just help you. I'll give you some ways to help you decide where you are and what you want. And then we can go to work, whether that's health, whether that's relationships, whether that's a combination of all the above. But it's important to have a game plan and then to make it fun enough to have success. And that's part of being a part of this group. So you guys are awesome. We'll kind of end the recording there.
Thanks for joining us for Wellness Wednesday at CEO Luv2Live. Remember to hit that subscribe, the like, and the bell, and be well, get well, and stay well.